Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Voices of HealthPointe. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good morning.
Woohoo!
Awesome.
Good morning.
All right. We were just joking amongst us about if anybody came into this meeting that maybe shouldn't be here, we wouldn't kind of want to be in here. They're known as Zoom bombers. You know, we would just actually applaud them for getting up this early, especially if they were like from California, getting up at 5 a.m. and bombing our meeting. So anyhow, there's a lot of fun that we have before the actual start, but we are going to get started. We're rocking through the last weeks of 2024. This is our second to last Saturday that we have for our Saturday session for our Voices of HealthPointe. And as always, we have some docket items, and then we're just going to get into some round robin, talking about all things HealthPointe, talking about weight loss, talking about coaching, talking about metabolic health. And we're going to have Carol that's going to be kicking us off on a docket item titled The Power of Five. And I'm intrigued about that because actually I'm not sure what she's going to be speaking about, but it's always great when it comes to Carol. And so that is an intriguing docket title, The Power of Five. And I'm going to come in with a segment on why planning to fail is a key and will be a key to losing weight in 2025. So I'm going to come in there and help you plan to fail. So you can count on me. So I'll unpack that and what I mean when I come around to my turn. But to kick us off from sunny Florida, good morning, Carol. How are you?
Well, good morning. It's sunny, chilly Florida today. It's about 51 degrees, and that's very chilly for this time of the morning. So my talk is going to be brisk because I'm going to head home for a little bit thicker jacket. But yeah, this morning, it kind of occurred to me, I wanted to talk about the power of five. And it's not just one specific power or one specific five. It's five in just a lot of different arenas of your life. And I think this is a good time to look at a total package as we start moving towards the new year, of things that we did or didn't do last year and changes we'd like to make this year. And so Bob Andrews always talked about do five things every day. And he was talking not only in a business arena, but he was also talking in general. And he would have us write five things down, which I still do today. And there were five things that were going to get us to the results that we wanted. I'm going to stop here for just a minute. So I thought back on that, and I thought back on an article from many years ago, and it was Napoleon Bonaparte. And it was a short article on the power of 5 minutes. And he would talk about how 5 minutes going before battle, he could change his mental frame of mind. He could uplift his warriors that were with him in the war. He could do all kinds of things in 5 minutes. And he would equate that to the 5 minutes we have in the day. And if we go through the day and we capture those 5 minutes to a positive, they can make a major difference by the end of the year. Unfortunately, we can also do that in the negative. So positive would be get up, the 3 W's, and get out and do your walk. That would be a decision you'd make the first 5 minutes of your day. Or they could be to roll over, go back to sleep for a couple of hours and miss a couple of really precious times of your morning where you could get off to a really strong start. So that would just be one. There's many. But today what I want to do is kind of equate that, excuse me, I'm dry, equate that to the HealthPointe program or to healthy living in general, because we're now heading towards, well, probably in the most dangerous time of the year, and that is holidays, where there's a lot of partying. Oh my gosh, the sugar is just running rampant. And so we have decisions to make. And so we can make decisions within a 5 second, 5 moments, 5 minutes. We can make decisions. We can make decisions preparing ourselves to go out to a party, prepare our decisions on how we shop in the grocery store, things we make to prepare perhaps for a little bit healthier option in a function that we're going to go to. There's just lots of reasons. But the 5 that I wanted to share with you today, why I wanted to go first is because I don't want to drag this around on my walk today. But this is 5 pounds. That
Ooh,
is
nice.
that is 5 pounds of fat. 5 little pounds of fat. And when you say I just put on 5 pounds, or I only put on 5 pounds, or I only lost 5 pounds, think of this baby. I'll tell you something, this is heavy. I was going to carry this on my backpack, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to be carrying that around. Now, you notice it because it's a new 5 pounds on your body, or a new 5 pounds lost or gained, but it is powerful. And Dr. Dunham, Chuck Dunham, talks about that a lot. And he talks about how every pound that you have extra weight, actually, you have to have 7 miles more blood vessels to pump that extra weight through. And so that becomes 7 times harder on your heart because it's 7 miles longer that your heart has to pump to get that extra weight through. And it's just a real good visual reminder of, this isn't a pound or 5 pounds. You're talking about major weight. The trouble is that you put it on gradually, or the challenge is you take it off gradually and you don't realize what a wonderful thing you've done for your body. And so if you think about that 5 pounds, try carrying 5 pounds around in a backpack, just around the house, maybe 5 cans of beans, 5 little 1 pound cans of beans. Carry that around your house for a while, or go walk down the street with that on your back. And I'll tell you something, you'll feel it. It is major, and it's tremendous on your joints. It puts tremendous pressure on your joints. For those of you that are walking around with joint problems, back problems, and what have you, perhaps losing 5 pounds or 10 pounds or even 20 pounds. I mean, if it's 7 miles for 1 pound, let's take 10 pounds. Now that's 70 miles that, your heart has to work 70 more miles to pump your blood through. This is major. This is just one part of it. But then you factor in, if it's like 4 pounds for every pound you put on, 4 pounds more pressure or 5 pounds more pressure. Now at 10 pounds, you're talking about 50 pounds more pressure or 40 pounds more pressure on your joints. So I think sometimes if we change our paradigm by addressing that in pictures, sometimes that is really, really helpful. And I know one of the areas that is probably the biggest challenge right now is in the area of going to parties and making choices. And you can make a choice in 5 seconds. You can take 5 minutes, walk around the room, and then go back and decide if you really want that piece of dessert or not after 5 minutes. And perhaps instead, you've picked up a piece of protein, or maybe you've even eaten a little piece of protein bar that you brought, or maybe you selected some veggies off the table. You've made a new choice just in 5 seconds, 5 minutes. So it's all about those choices. But if we realize the enemy sugar is, the extreme enemy, it is more addictive than drugs, than alcohol. And we don't think of sugar, chocolate chip cookies, pies, ice cream, all that kind of stuff. We don't think of that as being addictive. But I'll tell you something, you try to get off of it and you realize how addictive it really is. And so just making those little 5-second choices, those little 5-minute choices, just all of those little things like that make a huge difference come the end of the year. And some of you have made healthy choices throughout the year. Some of you maybe have procrastinated and now are ready to make healthy choices. We're talking to a really broad group of people. And some of us maybe have made choices and we've fallen off the wagon here and there. Falling off the wagon one time and eating a dessert or maybe putting on a pound is one thing. But keeping that pound and then pretty soon it's 5 pounds, and then it's not for a week, but now it's for a month. Now it's becoming a habit. These are little tiny things that we can change just in the power of 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 days. It just depends on what you are addressing. But I just wanted to bring that out to you because I will tell you something. I'm going to pick this baby up and I'm going to take it home. I've got it in a carry-all here. I'm taking it home because I do not want to carry this 5 pounds around on the rest of my power walk because I can already feel it in my joints. I can already feel it just by carrying that 5 pounds. I tried to put it on my back and I thought, oh, no way. I'm going to put it in the bag here. So that's what I wanted to share this morning is just think of it, the power of 5. Are you going to make that 5 pay off for you? Or are you going to make it a habit forming bad 5? And it's the choice is yours. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Eric.
Well, that is so powerful. Yeah, the power of 5, 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 pounds. You know, I think I've seen a visual like that before. I don't know if it was 5 pounds or not, but I don't know how it impacts everybody else when they see that. To me, even in this space, you know, constantly in this HealthPointe space, that visual that you held up of that 5 pounds still has an impact on me. You know, it's almost disbelief, like, wow.
Yeah.
So I'll toss it around to others. Any comments and or questions on the power of 5? And I know that you know, one of the other things that really surprises me too is when we talk about, I think you mentioned it was Dr. Dunham that mentions that about how many more miles of, you know, you think of anything that additional that your body's got to generate in order to compensate for that. Then you talk about the load on the joints, that just a relatively speaking small amount of weight. But when you're walking, when you're going up and down stairs, when you're kind of compressing on those joints naturally, and then you add just 5 pounds, but under that impact, under that walking, under that running, under that going up and down stairs or something, stepping off a curb and, you know, hitting that foot and heel and that impact. It's, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm thinking I've got to lose another 5 pounds.
I'm about to lose mine. It's going to head over to the porch because I
You're
will
going to
tell you
drop it off.
something. I'm creating this thing around and I will tell you, it is heavy. It is heavy. So, you know, it might not be distributed all over my body, but 5 pounds is 5 pounds and I don't want it. So remember that the next time you got that piece of chocolate cake in front of you.
Well, I'll tell you something else, just kind of to go down the little bit of a rabbit hole on that, and your choice to not, you know, you mentioned about, of course, when we gain those 5 pounds, we don't boom overnight put on 5 pounds. And here's a little public service announcement. There are a number of really, really great authors and influencers out there. Many of us would be familiar with the names that promote arguably a very good thing to do, which is called rucking. And rucking is what would have been the case, Carol, had you put that in a backpack and carried it around with you on this morning. And I will tell you that one of my family members suffered in a very acute Achilles tendon injury, required surgery and everything. And here's a public service announcement. If you're going to do rucking, do it in a sensible way, in a gradual way. I realize this is a bit of a rabbit trail on the 5 pounds, but when somebody gains 5 pounds, gains 10 pounds, gains 50 pounds, It doesn't happen 50 pounds overnight. They don't step out of bed the next morning and start walking around with an extra 50 pounds. So their body, although it's hardship on the body, it is adapting gradually to it. But these proponents of rucking sometimes fail to mention to go into it gradually. And so what you have is somebody that is fit, maybe even, or good intentions, and they put 10 pounds, 20 pounds into a backpack and start rucking. And in the case of my sister-in-law, who it was, very, typically fit individual. And one day she was out, it was actually her first time playing some pickleball, and she snapped her Achilles tendon and ended up in major surgery and out. I mean, she couldn't even drive a car for months, because of being in a boot and recovering from that and everything else like that. And what the physical therapist suggested was that she had started doing this rucking and maybe too much too soon, and kind of weakened or exacerbated or inflamed or kind of worried that area of the Achilles tendon. So yeah, so that's a little bit of a segue on this, a little bit of a rabbit trail, but little public service announcement. It is good to add weight and, but do it gradually as you're going around. So good to know you're going to drop off that 5-pound weight there, Carol.
I'm getting rid of it all at once.
Yeah. But no, I love that. And yeah, Bob Andrews and the power, 5 things every day. What you're talking about, the 5 minutes, that's really going to play into my segment, which I'll get into in a moment here, but I want to give opportunity for anybody else that wants to chat about this. But it's really recognizing how just having almost a pre-rehearsed habit of giving 5 seconds or 5 minutes of thought to any situation in life can be incredibly powerful in terms of your choices. So anybody else, any thoughts, comments?
As a sanguine, I used to be, and still have tendencies to be a little reckless with time. So I'm not an engineer who does everything by the book when it comes to time. And I don't know, a long time ago, I saw a lady actually printed this bumper sticker and put it on her car. I actually followed this lady to a hospital, and because I wanted to take a picture of her bumper sticker years ago. And the bumper sticker said, "Go ahead and pass me. I left on time."
I love that.
And so I have a daughter who is engineering, and so I irritated her a lot when she was growing up, because she felt if I dropped her off on time, she was 15 minutes late, one of those people. And but the importance of when I do manage my time and have an extra 5 minutes before I need to leave the house or do something, number one, I have a greater sense of peace. The other part of it is that it gives me 5 minutes to just kind of, I don't know about other people, I have a tendency with my personality to drive a mile away from my house and go, "Oh, I forgot whatever it is I was supposed to bring." And when you have that, Chris is laughing at me. And so when she has experienced that many a time. And but if you have that extra 5 minutes, as Carol was talking about, and can just kind of think a little bit positively about what you're expecting to do, you have a better chance of remembering all the things that you want to take with you on the first try. A short rabbit hole. We raised our family in Wyandotte on the Detroit River, and we at one time thought of moving to Grosse Ile. Well, and a couple times of looking at homes, Chris said we can't afford to move on Grosse Ile because you would pay to go across the pay bridge and then remember, "Oh, I forgot my briefcase." Then you'd have to pay to go over the bridge to go back home. And then you'd have to pay to go over the bridge again. And she goes, "And you do that multiple times." She goes, "That would turn into being just a lot of money." anyways, the importance of giving yourself an extra 5 minutes if you can to think of, again, as Carol was saying, to be able to think, do I really want this or do I not want this? Is this a good choice? Is this a bad choice? So 100% agree.
Yeah, what a great life and a simple to apply life lesson. I say simple to apply a lot of things that are, as we say, simple to do, simple not to do. Will we kind of build this into our muscle memory? No, I love it, and it's so applicable. Of course, we can apply it to these health choices, but let's give some other context where we can apply this power of five in terms of like 5 minutes or 5 seconds in other areas. I think like we're talking about, this is a season of getting together, and I don't know who it was that I heard it from. I'm sure it's multiple people within the Network 21 training organization that's many of us business owners are privy to, but they talk about taking a moment, let's just say 5, before you enter a room. Okay. How about when you're getting together with your family, you're pulling up in the driveway as you're 5 minutes out, preparing for, this isn't about you, right? And I'm saying that to myself, right? It's not about me. Let's be others focused. What do most of us do if left to our default mode? It's like, well, how does my hair look? How does my this, how am I feeling? How's this? What's it? Me. How about we walk in there and we've pre-planned, pre-thought, and we're thinking about them. And how are you doing? And making about them. Yeah, I can just think of so many examples, Carol, where the 5-minute rule, the 5-second rule, certainly health choices, food choices, but also just people choices, family choices, friend choices, having a little bit of forethought on that.
Well, okay, so I blocked out for a couple of minutes, for 5 minutes here.
All right.
And I got rid of my.
Carol, you might be blocked out for a little bit more than 5. I think you're getting some connection. There you go. I think you're in the clear now.
Yeah, I walked out of the house, so we switched gears here.
Sure.
So I got rid of my 5 pounds. I now have a thin little backpack that merely has my keys to get in the house. So now I have made the choice of keys to open the door of my future. I have that choice. I've had my perfect water, which is a better choice. And I feel so much lighter. It is so much lighter carrying a bottle of water and the key to my future than it is 5 pounds of fat that I've been trudging along for the last 15 minutes. And I will send you a picture of that fat. You might want to attach that as you send on the session this morning. That will probably get people to watch the session.
Well, as a matter of fact, it sounds like permission given. Then sometimes when I'm uploading this and getting it onto YouTube, I have to deliberate on what to create as far as like the screenshot, for the clip, as it's called. And I think what I'll do is, if you can provide that for me, or I'll do a screenshot from a segment here in the recording of you holding up that beautiful glob of 5 pounds of fat.
Well, that might even be better if you want to go ahead and do that. That'd probably be better. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Eric?
what a great. Yes, Hank. Good morning, Hank.
Yeah, let me pick up on that 5 because it sure brought back a lot of memories to me. My early days in the business. I was not exactly a friendly person or an outgoing person. Engineers are not people. They are things people, right? Okay. So I had to break out my shell, and I used to go to these group functions, activities. So what I would do at that time, I pull up into the parking lot and take about 5 minutes and start talking to myself and tell myself, what if I were the host of this function? how would I act? What should I be doing? And just to get my frame of mind in there to say, all right, as a host, I have to greet people. How are you doing today? Are you enjoying this? Why are you here? You get the picture? I should
Totally.
program my mind for at least a good 5 minutes, sit in the parking lot to get the courage to go into that meeting and open up to talk to people. And that really started to change me because I says, hey, this is really fun. I'm really enjoying this. Not worry about what am I going to say? What am I going to do? You know, it's the programming of the mind for 5 minutes in advance. Amazing, it can change your personality. And I could change my personality and it started to work. And I start to look forward to go to those functions because eventually it started to become part of me. 5 minutes are vital. I just want to add that on. I hope it helps people.
Oh man, I'm so glad that you did, Hank. And because I've heard you mention this before, and I think it, personally speaking, it is, maybe that's actually where my little commentary came from, where I'm talking about going into a room, because I have heard you mention that on a number of occasions, maybe through your Tuesday night training and others. It's such a key factor, and I love the way you phrase that, because it's so clear because most of us have been a host of a party before or hosting an event before, and it's interesting the difference in your mindset where versus somebody that perceives themselves as a participant or a guest, and I love that mental switch that flips when you ask yourself, what if I was the host of this? And then it totally changes your constitution, totally changes, in a way, almost kind of your confidence, right? Because if you're the host, people kind of expect you to come up and say, hey, welcome, how you doing? Are you enjoying this? Some of the key questions and phrases, versus if you're there and you're kind of have this defaults of, hey, I'm a guest here, and you don't necessarily overtly interact with other people and make it an enjoyable experience for them. So I love that you brought that up, Hank. It's very key. And like you said, it only takes 5 minutes. And then ultimately, like anything else, with some repetition over time. And I know you and Carol in various settings, because I've heard the stories of walking into a restaurant and meeting key people that become sometimes lifelong friends. Why? I imagine it's because you've utilized basically the power of 5, or the habit that you've built, that when you walk into that setting, unlike the rest of us maybe that walk in, we're waited to be seated and what's in it for me and me. With you guys, you're scanning the room, you're looking for people to connect with. And we've heard the stories of some of the powerful relationships that you've developed in those settings. So I love this.
Well,
Yeah,
that
because
power of 5 can create the habit that can change your life. And just in 5 minutes, you can do that just consistently.
well, what I learned from that was that people do want to stretch out and say something, but somebody has to break the ice. And it should be you as the host mentally, right? That you break the ice with people. Hey, how are you? How are you guys doing? And I can do that anywhere today. Like you said, a restaurant, I spot somebody I want to talk to. I just walk up there, say, hey, I just kind of watching you guys, how you react. If they're a couple or have a child, whatever, pick up on some good thing that you notice about them and specify that particular item and open the conversation. It's amazing how they open up. Carol and I can tell you stories, about how those really came out to good endings because people were so grateful and they actually thanked us after we were done talking. We were leaving. Hey, thank you for stopping by and say hello. And we can tell you about how we sponsored people, how Carol connected with people to HealthPointe, all different activities. But somebody has to break the ice and it needs to be you as the host. And that's what it's all about. I hope it
I
helped,
love,
guys.
I love it. It certainly did. Hey, Larry, you had popped on here for a moment. Larry, are you there? You have a
Yeah.
question, comment? Love to hear from you.
Okay. Yeah, Eric. I was thinking about Carol's comment about the power of five. And I was thinking, when we have moments where we get off track, where we let ourselves down, we get away from our good habits, and then we do something that tempted us and we go back to eat ice cream or whatever. One of the things that I read in one article was the faster you get back on track, then the faster you get back to your good habits. And so, yes, you will get off track. The thing is, we go down that bird trail where we get off track and then we say, well, I had a lick, so maybe I'll eat the whole ice cream, maybe eat a piece of cake, and we go down that bird trail. Whereas if we take that power of five to write down things that we're not going to do, okay, I ate that, so tomorrow I'm not going to eat it. Actually, we should actually say, in the next hour, I'm not going to be doing something else negative. But I was thinking that once you do something, if we want to get back on track, one of the things that it said was to get back on track as fast as you can. Now, sometimes that's the next day, but you can make 5 decisions. Oh man, I ate that. I'm not going to do that. It reminds me of my grandson. We were going to take him out somewhere, and he was a little bitty guy, and we were all getting ready, and we were going to go out. And I was paying attention to him because everybody else was running around trying to get together. And I heard him say, "Not today." I don't know whether anybody else heard, but I heard. And so we were all getting ready to go out, everything, and he was right. Not today. We weren't going out today because he had already made it up in his mind that that was not going to happen. And so when we get off track, when we do things that we don't want to have as a habit, then it'd be a good time to write down, okay, I'm not going to do this at such and such time. Write down 5 things that we're not going to do, include that thing that we did. And we can say to ourselves, not today.
Not today.
That
I love that.
is fun. How is it that we learn so much, from the mouths of babes, right? The small children, the grandchildren, so forth. And yeah, I love that, Larry. And I thought of another context of 5, and maybe it'd be a little bit in reference to the segment I'll be talking about, and I think of like 5 minutes to recover. Right now, sometimes there would be things that take more than that, but basically having, just like we're talking about having 5 minutes before an event, Hank's talking about going into an event, 5 minutes to prepare the mind, 5 minutes before going into a restaurant to prepare, going to a relative's or a friend's house, 5 minutes before you get in there. But then, Larry, as you point out, if we go off the rails, do we have a plan that maybe is 5 minutes to recoup, 5 minutes to recover, 5 minutes to get our, first of all, don't be beating ourselves up for 5 years, or even 5 days. Let's bring this down. You talked about Bob Andrews, Carol. We've all talked about Bob Andrews, such a brilliant teacher. And I remember a talk that he gave that it's all about the speed of the recovery. And actually that just came to mind, but that's actually very much part of what I'm going to cover. But he talked about, in the Tour de France, when they go puffing and puffing up these mountainsides, and the elite athletes, everybody gets tired. That's no surprise. The difference is the elite athletes are so fit, their heart, their lungs, their cardiovascular, that their recovery time, for myself, I would probably take 5 decades to recover from going up, a Tour de France, or certainly a long time. But those elite athletes, they're so trained physically, mentally, emotionally, that they recover very quickly and they're back to a normal heart rate. And that's the difference in those elite athletes. Yeah. So yeah, I think Larry, having that habit of 5 minutes post event, to recoup, recover, rethink, the power of 5. Well, as promised, I'm going to come in here and teach everybody how to fail. That my docket item, the title is why planning to fail is a key, the secret or a secret to losing weight in 2025. And we say losing weight when we're talking HealthPointe. A lot of people use that, of course, for weight loss. So we'll just kind of key in on that and say why planning to fail is very key to losing weight in 2025. When embarking on a significant life change, such as improving your health or committing to the HealthPointe program, it's natural to focus on success. However, a critical yet often overlooked aspect of goal setting is preparing for failure, not as an expectation, but as an opportunity to plan for resilience. I love how we didn't even talk about this before, getting into today, and here we are all on the same page. Yeah, it's an opportunity to plan for resilience. Success often hinges on your ability to anticipate challenges and adapt when things don't go according to plan. This concept is exemplified in military training, particularly among elite forces like Green Berets or Delta Force. Their motto, improvise, adapt, overcome. We've all seen that, haven't we? Improvise, adapt, overcome is not just a phrase, it's a mindset. These soldiers are trained to expect the unexpected and develop strategies to succeed even in the face of adversity. Imagine a Green Beret soldier on a solo reconnaissance mission. Their objective is to gather intelligence in a hostile territory. However, their radio equipment malfunctions, cutting off communication with their base. Instead of panicking or abandoning the mission, they must improvise. For example, they could use reflective surfaces to signal aircraft or find an alternative way to transmit information using local resources. Their ability to adapt stems from extensive training in thinking creatively under pressure. Imagine another scenario. Consider a Navy SEAL who faces a sudden change during an underwater mission. A critical piece of diving equipment fails. The SEALs training has prepared them to, first of all, stay calm, evaluate the situation, and switch to a backup plan, such as conserving oxygen while manually resurfacing. Success in these moments come from not just skill, but a practiced mindset of expecting and managing the unexpected. The principle of resilience isn't limited to the military. We see it play out in sports where athletes face unexpected challenges and rise above them as individuals. For example, during the 2000 Olympics, seems like not that long ago, but that was 24 years ago, guys. During the 2000 Olympics, American gymnast Paul Hamm experienced a devastating fall during a routine that seemingly ruined his chance at a medal. Yet, he recovered, he adapted by delivering a near perfect performance in the next round. His focus and resilience allowed him to overcome the setback, and he went on to win gold. This moment is a testament to how preparation and determination can transform an apparent failure into triumph. Likewise, in the 2019 New York City Marathon, Kenyan runner Mary Keitany faced intense abdominal cramps early in the race. While many would have considered stopping, she adjusted her pace, conserved energy, and found a way to continue. Despite the setback, she crossed the finish line with an impressive time, demonstrating how adapting mid-challenge is a critical skill for success. These stories remind us that unexpected events are not barriers to success, but opportunities to display resilience and determination. Now let's apply these lessons to the HealthPointe journey. Imagine, we're going to practice failure. Imagine 6 months from now, you've started strong, but somehow veered off course. What might you tell yourself or others about why you failed, looking back on it? Common reasons could include, I couldn't stay consistent because life got too busy. Or maybe, my family didn't support me and I felt isolated. Or how about, I didn't see results in my second cycle like I did in the first cycle, and so I got discouraged. Or stress at work or home led me back to old habits. Or maybe I didn't enjoy certain parts of the program and it felt unsustainable. These are all understandable challenges, but they don't have to be reasons for failure. By anticipating such scenarios now, you can strategize to navigate them. Resilience doesn't happen by accidents. It's a skill that you can develop. Here's the 4 steps. First, you identify potential obstacles. Work, and my recommendation is to work with your HealthPointe coach to brainstorm possible challenges. For example, I have a demanding travel schedule that disrupts meal prep, or family visits often tempt me and I deviate from my plan, or I think I might have some emotional events that might derail my focus. Secondly, pre-plan some solutions. For each obstacle, develop 1 or 2 strategies. For example, pack travel-friendly meal options to stay on track while traveling. I've talked about that with Emily and I. You know, we've got it down. I mean, airports used to kind of derail us on our food and travel. Now we know how to kind of pack and prepare for the airport, and also we pre-plan. We look at our destination, our hotel, or the walking area around it, and we kind of know where we're going to get good food. So pack travel-friendly meals as an option. For the other one, create a game plan for family gatherings, such as pre-deciding what you'll eat. And for the third one, about the emotional derailment, schedule some routine, some self-care to manage emotional stress. The third step is train your mindset. Success isn't just about willpower. It's about mental flexibility. Practice this technique, this mindfulness, to strengthen your ability to adapt. And last, point number 4, expect the unexpected. The point of all these exercises isn't to correctly identify and eliminate all surprises. That's not possible. It's to reduce their impact. So when an unplanned event occurs, instead of being knocked out like a sucker punch, you'll say, I know how to handle this. So if you're embarking or continuing on a HealthPointe journey, here's a hard truth. It's not a matter of if something unexpected will happen. It's simply when. That is a hard truth, right? The good news is that this is normal. Challenges are part of the process and they don't have to derail you. Many of us that are business owners and coaches in HealthPointe will recall, or maybe recall when I mention it here, that the founder actually of Network 21, Jim Dornan, he offers this wisdom in his classic talk on goal setting. I'm sure many of you have listened to it. He explains that when you set a goal, oftentimes life throws unexpected tests your way. It could be some chaotic situation at work, some sort of family surprise, or some sort of emotional event. And while we can't always predict why this happens, we can prepare for it. So as we close out 2024 and move into 2025, some, maybe listening to this, will be starting fresh with a new HealthPointe cycle in January. Something might hit you early, a hectic week at work, a family challenge, or craving you didn't anticipate. Instead of being blindsided, lean into it. Kind of smile to yourself, knowing that you prepared for this. Resilience isn't about avoiding obstacles. It's about adapting and moving forward despite them. Expect challenges, embrace them, and let them strengthen you. When you encounter them, you'll know you're exactly where you're supposed to be. As Mitch Sala is another Network 21 leader that many of us have learned so much from his audios. What does Mitch Sala says? You're right on track. So love that. I love how this all kind of came into play with the power of 5 and the subsequent rabbit holes that we went through, because we're very much talking about this response, respond versus react. And this is maybe a broader subject of kind of pre-planning, working with your coach to maybe run through almost retrospectively. And I read this somewhere where it seemed very much the antithesis of the way we usually approach our mindset and what we think we should be doing. And outside of HealthPointe, this could be a career goal, this could be an education goal, this could be a family goal, this could be a whatever goal. And we're always taught to visualize success, yes, but like the military, the elite military, like the elite athletes, they also train and practice and rehearse resiliency. And the reality is, certainly in HealthPointe, you're going to step into a 6-week cycle and bam, something's going to happen. Or maybe it's on your 3rd month or your 8th month, something really happens. And it's important to almost have retrospectively prepared for that and say, okay, this was anticipated. I talked with my coach a little bit about this. Let's plan out some solutions and keep moving forward, just like those athletes and military figures do as well. So I'll open it up for any thoughts or comments on kind of a common theme here that we're going through today.
Okay, I'll jump in for a quick brief second. All of this reminds me, I was a girls basketball coach for 7 years in my younger days. And when I coached before the season began, I would always get the team together and say that things are going to happen during the game and we need to be prepared for that. And so when I coach in a game situation, I had the very first bench seat. The second bench seat was always empty, and then the players sat on the rest of the bench. And one of the things I forgot, before the games, I would talk about, and I would bring a wet wash rag and a tennis ball. Things are going to happen. And my question is, are you going to be a wet wash rag? And I would take that and just let it go thud on the gym floor. I said, and not recover? I need you to be like a tennis ball. Bad things happen, boom, and it bounces and you bounce right back. I need you to, when bad things happen, you got to bounce right back. And so when bad things would happen, I would sometimes pull them out of the game. And so the seat next to me, because I'm a teacher, I would always just wait for a moment. I'd say, what did we practice? And I'd have them tell me. And I'd say, go back in the game, and that's what I want you to do. But the tennis ball and the wet wash towel as an example of, do you hit bottom and just stay there, or do you have that ability to bounce back?
Geez, I love that. That is such a perfect visual of that. And I was imagining when you're talking through what you would do with your athletes, and if you pulled them out, I was kind of thinking, gee, did Dave like hand them the wash rag or the tennis ball, depending upon which they represented? like, oh no, I don't want to sit next to Coach David and get handed the wet wash rag. But no, what a great visual. I love that, David. So good. Yeah. Well, we've nearly done it again. We're coming up on our 1 hour here. I think these are just super. I think there are areas that are not intuitive. I know those of us that coach HealthPointe, those of us that do HealthPointe, which in my book is kind of a prerequisite for considering becoming a business owner, is you've got to be authentic. You've got to know it by doing it. But, whether we've learned these things, and that's the other thing. Some people, they come into HealthPointe and, they've learned these skill sets before. I mean, maybe they're not Delta Force or Green Beret, but if they were, I'm sure they, when faced with some sort of obstacle or hiccup in the planned approach to their 6-week cycle, they're going to definitely have that resilient factor. But just life, raising a family, having a career, navigating life, I find that, there's kind of two different camps. There's those people that have already built up some of these life skills and they just apply them very instinctively to this new venture of improving their health, losing weight, reversing diabetes, what have you, these lifestyle changes, which are, let's face it, uncomfortable at first. If they were comfortable, probably wouldn't be needing to make a major health correction later, right? So, but there's two kinds of people, or a spectrum, and I fall into this as well, and that is that when faced with these challenges that are inevitable, you've already kind of honed this, even if you don't really think about it, you just have honed the ability to be that tennis ball versus the wet towel that splats and stays down. Instead, you're like that tennis ball that bounces back up. You're down for a moment. That's the thing. This is not having some Pollyanna, like, oh, things never happen, I'm so positive, things never get me down. There's different thoughts on that, but I think, Bob Andrews and his teaching, David, you've talked about Jim Rohn. I'm sure he's a proponent of this. We're going to get down. The question is, are we down for the count? Did this sucker punch that caught us unaware, this unexpected, sucker punch, knock us down, and we're down and we're out and we never get back up? Or is it more like the tennis ball where, yeah, we're down? That tennis ball, let's not lose sight of the fact that it hits the ground. It's just not down there for but a second and it's right back up. And so it's just absolute reality. So any other thoughts, commentary?
So yeah, Eric, I was just thinking about it, and this is brilliant, by the way. So thank you for opening this up and sharing this. But I was thinking about it because you know how I love the book Atomic Habits, and of course, yeah. I did that whole little dissertation on it around Thanksgiving time. But one of the keys with that is preparation. So this is a different level of preparation, but it's really just as important as chopping up your vegetables and putting them in containers and making sure you have your water bottle ready and your tennis shoes are out to do your walk. So I think it's great because, like I said, it's just another level of preparation and it's mindset. And as we know, a lot of success in anything is the proper mindset. So to bring this to the forefront and have people kind of start thinking about it in a way that this is just another little step of preparation to have a successful HealthPointe journey, especially for so many people if they're going to get ready to, kick it off and get started in 2025. So I just thought I'd throw the little Atomic Habits twist in there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And for those that have caught all episodes, boy, or if you haven't, go back to the last episode on YouTube, Voices of HealthPointe, and Kathy did a phenomenal unpack of Atomic Habits. And actually, the last episode was your holiday 6-course blowout, but it was a recent episode where you talked
I think the
about...
Atomic Habits was Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes. Thank you. You're right. That was Thanksgiving weekend. So yeah, Kathy did a great unpack of that brilliant book. Kathy also often refers to it. I think all of us would agree. It's the Bible for HealthPointe. It's so applicable to everything that we experience in here in terms of, making it easy, making it, well, I won't reiterate the whole Atomic Habits doctrine, but this is another level of that, and one that I think people don't necessarily prepare for. And, we do prepare, like you say, Kathy, with like the food prep, right? Prepping for the week. If you fail to do that, probably going to be scrambling throughout the week and not stay very on course, right? We talk about preparing for your walking, right? Getting a plan. Where are you going to walk? When are you going to walk? Where are your shoes at? Do you have it set out the night before? Or whatever you've got to do to prepare for that. We talk about preparing for your water, right? That, if you're getting half your body weight in ounces of water, that probably is not going to happen absent some planning of that. Now, this planning, of course, eventually builds into a habit, and it's not taking much effort. But the same thing with the supplementation, the micronutrients is, if you don't plan for that, in most cases, laying out a week in a counter tray, a Monday through Sunday, and getting that all out there and planning for that, probably you're going to not hit it on that, because if you're scrambling around trying to find your omegas and get those, and you haven't planned for the week and laid it out, probably going to be pretty difficult. But what about a bit of a planning for, I deliver it in kind of a cheeky way, planning for failure, but just if people kind of plan for that, that in itself takes some of the power out of the negative power of those moments, because it's anticipated. It's only when it kind of catches you by surprise, or you were naive, right? Blissfully naive, like, oh, this is just going to be rainbows and unicorns moving forward, right? It's just not the way life works. So just a little anticipation of what are these possible scenarios given your lifestyle, given your career, your life, your family dynamic. Let's think that through. Work with your coach. Emily and I were bouncing this around a little bit yesterday, this topic, and she really emphasized that's where the value of, certainly in HealthPointe, but other scenarios as well, but that's where having a coach, again, not that coach is going to correctly anticipate every possible scenario in your life and put together this master plan for when line item 127 obstacle hits, this is what you do. No, that's not the way it works. But maybe in the preamble to your 6-week cycle, or maybe routinely throughout the coaching, is you just kind of have a review of your life. Given your life, or given this season in life, this is some of the stuff that's kind of going on. This is something, hey, I'm retired and this is going on, or hey, I'm in the heart of my career and this is going on, or hey, I have this family dynamic going on, or hey, I think I've had scenarios in my life where I've tried to do things and this is what has kind of sabotaged me before. And have that very important planning, yes, for failure, but obviously by doing that planning, you if you have failure, it's very brief, and you recover and respond, and you're back on track, and you ultimately succeed, just like the athletes that we talked about, just like the Delta Force or Green Berets that we're talking about. And so and now, knowing that it only takes 5 seconds or 5 minutes in many cases of just thought and planning through Carol's lesson to help with this. So any other thoughts as we wrap up here?
Quick, yesterday, bouncing off what you said yesterday, I was talking to somebody about the business, and I said, what is the key element to speeding up success at anything? Having a good coach.
Mm-hmm. Heck, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So grateful. In the HealthPointe program, we often point out it's one of the key differentiators, not to diminish the science of the 6-week cycle, the brilliance of the Add More Food days, the jumpstart days, all of that is key. But to David's point, having that coach is so valuable. accountability, but also speeding up that, easing that process, navigating that, because a good coach knows what to help you work through or anticipate for sure. So, well, guys, we've done it again. We've experienced a wonderful, roughly an hour here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on our Saturday mornings. We'll do it one more time for 2024, and then we're closing out this 2024 and moving into 25. But everybody have a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a celebration of all holidays that people are experiencing right now, and enjoy. And we'll see everyone same time, same place next week. Till then, bye-bye.
Merry Christmas,
Adios.
everybody. Happy holidays.
Please enjoy.